Essentially just that tribal people in general are known to have more of an oral tradition of storytelling and sharing history rather than a written history. That's why I really wanted to get some actual perspective, because everything that you can find is very surface level. So I did my best to hone in, because not only I'm not just Alaska Native, I'm not Inuit that everybody would know of, which is the more large, and then there's Nunavut, and there's one other that I'm forgetting. They have a lot longer name that also starts with an N. That is more the other coast. They're more like East Coast. Very similar to our traditions, a lot of little things, but they are way further away.
Oh, okay.
But they are coastal, so it's the ocean and such, where obviously there's salmon more so in our ocean and such.
Right.
But mine are the Yupik, so it's a very small, more coastal, and then we actually share bloodlines with those on the Russian coast. What would be, I guess, the Bering Land Bridge at one point, the ice bridge or whatever, a millennia ago. And then there's an island right in the middle. So if you look on a map, you can see where my people are in Alaska, the island where there's also Yupik, and then the edge of Russia where there's also Yupik.
Okay.
You guys traverse this way, maybe some of them went back,
Okay.
but we're all very much blood related, which is unique to the rest of the native population
Right.
in Alaska and Canada and the northern frontier, essentially. Right. So, beyond the backstory, I did want to find as much as I could specifically my area. The name of my tribe didn't pull anything up, but I was able to find something just based on the region, because we traveled with the seasons, so it's not like we lived here. It was
a lot of migration.
Because with the seasons, I've just vaguely talked with Grandma. She's mentioned that's how they love to. That was how their summers, they went here and they traveled and they were always somewhere different, and she loved talking about that. So regardless, the Yukon, lower Yukon region, Eminock is my tribe, and there is actually a city called Eminock, so that would be near the mouth of the Yukon, so generally where my people are from. Specifically, ours had more animal, which I thought that was great because you know how much I love animal. That it has to do with the dance of the animal spirits, specifically including the spirits of animals vital for our survival. So, deer, caribou, which reindeer is the cultivated caribou, of course. Wolf, seals, salmon, beluga whales. So the presence, specifically with the whales, the presence of these lights symbolized the continuation of the animal spirit and reinforced the importance of the balance between humans and nature. It was just that moment of honoring, and that, I believe, comes from the more, like I said, umbrella blanket beliefs that seems to also be shared just with a little bit of research. I can't speak for them very much at all, but Iceland and the areas elsewhere that also experience northern lights, their indigenous cultures have also very similar beliefs to these. That's worth noting. They had zero connection at all and had very similar beliefs into what the northern lights were, what to do and not to do around them.
So neither group branched off from each other or anything like that?
One
migrated this way.
At some point, I could totally figure out at some point that they connected.
That's just really cool that they have these same traditions.
But they did not trade. Modern day, even past 500,000 years.
And like you said, most of it's oral history, so it's not exactly like the books or journals they were going off of.
So
very cool.
For it to be still very close is super fascinating. One of the main that does align with the SWs is you do not whistle underneath, essentially, the lights. Okay. Because, again, this part varies, but they believe the spirits of the lights themselves, the past loved ones, whatever the specific belief details are, comes through the northern lights and will take people away. There's also, I read one, it was some beliefs that they could even chop your head off, which was kind of scary. Oh. That was a weird one-off. I don't know if that could come from a story that's not even remotely accurate in beliefs.
Oh, sure, just a legend. But
it could be some weird, stereotype that came up later. Well,
Jehovah's Witnesses have a lot of the similar beliefs with demons, of course.
So
similar stories, too.
Sort of scary, even if it wasn't.
Right.
But widespread belief among Yupik people is that the Aurora mark the passage of human spirits to the afterlife. So that's where it's very much the veil is thin, like a connection. Some beliefs have that you can actually communicate with the Northern Lights.
Mm.
Essentially, that the Northern Lights communicate through a whistling or rustling sound, and that people on Earth were believed to have the ability to converse with the dead relatives by responding with whispers. So don't whistle, but you can talk to them, but just don't be too loud.